Hello, it's me. So, welcome to this segment on this wet and windy Monday morning. The BBC. Eh? So, Tim Davie, the head honcho, the big cheese at the BBC, has resigned. He's quit. Did he jump or was he pushed? Well, my personal feeling is that he's been a bit of both. Because he's outlived his usefulness, hasn't he? He's overseen the BBC during a tumultuous time where accusations of double dealing, of speaking with a forked tongue, of, quite frankly, lying to the public and misdirecting the public have become so great. These accusations have become so great now that it's had to pop off. And I think not a moment too soon. And also, an item of note, his second-in-command has also gone. Make of that what you will. I've long said how I think that the BBC is not only a political activist for the government of the UK, whatever stripe that government is, certainly since Thatcher and Tony Blair, that it's become increasingly more brazen and bold. It's, in recent years, not even tried to hide what it's doing. So Tim Davie has a political viewpoint. He's a Conservative. And during 20 years of Conservative rule here in the UK, the BBC did their bidding, effectively. And it wasn't any better when we had Tony Blair, because as we've seen over the last few years, the British political system is captured. There's a uni-party here. Labour and the Conservatives being the equivalent of the Democrats and the Republicans. There is no difference. There will be no change. Well, at least until Trump got in. He's really shaking up the apple cart. And so, Tim Davie, a Conservative, hasn't been active here, it says here, for the last 20 years. I'll read this little bit out here. Tim Davie has passed ties to the Conservative Party, effectively the Republicans, including serving as deputy chairman of the Hammersmith and Fulham Conservative Party in the 1990s. Is this the kind of man who should be running an impartial news service? However, he has not been politically active for over 2 decades. I guarantee that over the last 2 decades, he's been more politically active as the head of the BBC than he was when he was chairman of the Conservative Party in Fulham. It just beggars belief. And this brings me to Martine Croxall. Who is Martine Croxall, I hear you say? Well, Martine Croxall is a BBC TV news anchor. And she was recently dragged over the coals for altering her script live on TV, wherein the news item that she was given referred to pregnant people, and on camera she read this and literally went, pregnant people, women, and that's literally what she did. There was a slight facial expression where it was very obvious to all and sundry that this label of pregnant people was a nod to people who call themselves pregnant but can't biologically get pregnant. So she obviously found this mildly objectionable and corrected the script. She's since had some complaints, 20 of them. There was the whole of the UK, 20 complaints. from people who said that this was wrong. And the BBC has just held up those complaints. So she will, one assumes, be disciplined as part of this procedure. Now, when she did this, I thought to myself, do you know what? In order to help rebalance things, it would be a good idea if they sacked her, because it would really shine a spotlight on this subject. And hopefully we might get some clarity. Because as Daniel Shensmith on the Black Belt Barrister channel, a great channel, I do suggest you go over and have a listen, said the High Court judgment on sexuality refers to a biological sexuality, the sex that you are born into. And I agree with that. I think that that is an immutable baseline from which to start. Now, let me be clear. I don't care if you're a man and you want to dress up as a woman. Go mad. Fulfill whatever it is you need to fulfill in yourself to feel whole. If you personally come to me and say, Mark, would you mind if you referred to me by my female name and called me a she instead of a he, and you were respectful to me and kind to me in the asking, I would have no problem. I would do my very best to fulfill that request sincerely and in a kind manner. We're all just people trying to get through this thing of life. And this has been my experience through my life. I've known gay people. I've known a few transvestites, men who like to dress up as women. It's just people. But this politicalization, this weaponization of our sexuality and our desires for ourselves and our psyches and our identities have been turned into this stick to beat each other with. And I disagree with that. People left to their own devices are usually great, and they will acquiesce and accommodate anyone in their orbit. Now, let's get back to Maxine Croxall and the BBC. As I've said, I think that if they disciplined her, it would shine a light on this, because things have gone mad for the BBC. They are now literally calling the day night, black, white, etc., etc. To wit, I give you this. This, for those of you who don't know, is a picture of a British MP here in the UK called Jeremy Corbyn. Look at him. An older man, something I can identify with, actually, unfortunately. And he's wearing his, what would you call that, a cap? Obviously a hat, but a cap, like maybe slightly nautical. Quite elegant. He's not wearing it in the most stylish way, but, quite elegant. Keeping his head warm. Great, lovely. But during the run-up to the British election, where Jeremy Corbyn was the leader of the Labour Party, and this is a few years ago, the BBC, being the BBC, were doing lots of political programmes. And I've always known that the BBC have been politically active. But I didn't, in all fairness, realise they would stoop, stretch, hang themselves out to such a degree. So this is the picture, and in a serious political debate on the BBC, they produced . They produced that. So, Jeremy Corbyn MP became Comrade Jeremy Corbyn, the Russian communist, who knows what, frankly. Look at that picture. That's Red Square. The building's around Red Square, isn't it? And the black the striping of the sun behind him. If this isn't political messaging in the most subversive manner, then I don't know what is. And if you think this is acceptable, you are part of the problem. Because if Jeremy Corbyn can't lose on his own, then he's winning. And for the BBC to do this to anyone should have real consequences. But were there? No. And this brings me on to the potential reason for, or rather the reason that's being linked to Tim Davie, the current head or the ex-head of the BBC, jumping ship. Of course, the doctored Trump speech, which is making the rounds again. And we know it's doctored. And Trump said it was doctored, and so it's been borne out. A week or so ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, the BBC, in an incredibly ill-timed and bad taste move, having all this, these are just the most high-profile things. The BBC, I don't watch them anymore. I haven't watched them for years. Because it became so duplicitous and it became so obvious to me that it was like, what am I doing? I'm being indoctrinated on a daily basis. And it does make you wonder, there's a chain of pubs over here called Wetherspoons. In the background of this massive pub chain here in the UK, they have the BBC playing on screens to their patrons all day long, every day. Education of the masses, perhaps? So, in a fresh drive, the BBC produced an advert with one of their top TV anchors, or news anchors I should say, a chap called Clive Myrie. Shall we?
Disinformation. You think you're winning.
There's no climate change.
Fooling people in the most sophisticated ways.
I control the Met Police. They will obey orders.
You fueled hate and confusion.
End up with a complete erosion of trust.
The pandemic wasn't real.
Unleashed conspiracies.
Social media puts
About Southport riots.
Endangered lives. Undermined democracy. And you make our job seem almost impossible.
fake news.
Lying about anything.
Almost. You see, it's because of you we get up in the morning and work through the night.
We're going this way?
Oh
all
my
over
God.
the world,
And that's the right
24/7.
Call them the light.
The more you try to drown out reality, the harder we'll work to verify the facts. And with our expertise,
Do you want me to play the rest? I mean, I might go back to this. We will try harder to find the facts. I was struck by the inclusion of pictures of correspondence in war zones. Why are these people working for the BBC? Don't they know? These are educated people. Journalism used to be a job which was blue collar. This is why the establishment feared journalism. Investigative journalism was a massive thing back in the day. But when they all became degree-toting journos, well, they were part of the establishment. And they were educated at establishment level, effectively. The same level that the prime ministers are educated to. The working class journalist who is still working class is almost extinct. And we've got this mess. Everything that you see and hear on the BBC, you should question. And I know it's not fair. I absolutely know it's not fair. Because you shouldn't have to question. You should be given a view of the world so you can make your own mind up. But that's not the world we live in. So, let me know what you think in the comments below. Do like, subscribe and share. And until next time, this is me signing off. Or is it me signing off? Is this a doctored picture? Do look after yourselves.